Tory MP attempts to gag the criticism of assisting dying committee after a Down syndrome vote. We're going to read into this more from the Independent, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from the Independent with the headline that Tory MP attempts to gag criticism of assisting dying committee after Down syndrome vote. The Tory MP Kit Malthouse made a dramatic point of order after a majority voted down an amendment to protect people with Down syndrome by 13-8. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit that like button, share across social media so others are notified of this video. Now, obviously, there's still a long way to go before this assisting dying bill reaches the next stages. It's very possible that all of this can end up being nothing because it could end up getting turned down when it comes to the main big vote. But in the meantime, this committee is obviously scrutinising the bill and looking at making amendments and changes to the assisting dying bill, and there are certain tweaks and there are certain things that need to be made. Now, while I have not been following it completely to a T, I've been keeping an eye at a distance on some of this. And this one here is a very interesting here. The Kit Malthouse is basically claiming that any kind of amendments being made to this bill are being shot down, and that there is some kind of, and that those who are for the assisting dying bill are trying, and some of those who are trying to stop those who are within the committee, the majority of the committee, are just trying to stop any of these amendments coming through. This is what the crux of his point of order that he made in the Commons after the Down syndrome vote was voted out. So I'm going to read a bit more into this as I add more context to this, you guys. So a former minister and key ally of Kim Leadbeater's bid to introduce assisting dying into the UK has attempted to gag criticism of the bill committee dealing with the controversial legislation. So the Tory MP Kit Malthouse, who has been a cheerleader for the bill and sits on the committee, made a dramatic point of order after the majority voted down an amendment to protect people with Down syndrome by 13-8. The amendment's defeat adds to growing concerns from campaign groups that vulnerable and disabled people with long-term conditions will not be protected by the legislation into being coerced into ending their lives early. So I want to come at this point here that people were being coerced into ending their lives early. Okay, if you recall the bill, okay, it states, okay, because there are huge barriers that you have to go through in order for you to want assisted. If this bill passes, okay, and becomes law, there are huge barriers that you personally have to overcome in order to be able to have this, in order to be able to have assisting dying. It is the most stringent and strongest of assisting dyings in the world, I would say. Some even stronger than stronger than many other nations who actually have this legal form. You cannot just simply walk in and ask to end your life. That's not how it works. You have to be terminally ill. You have to be terminally ill, okay? That's the first thing, yeah, that we have to be clear about this, yeah? If you are not terminally ill, you cannot get this, okay? No matter what they are saying here. You read the bill. I cannot stress this enough. You have to be terminally ill. Yeah. So even if you have Down syndrome, whatever you have, unless you are terminally ill and you have been verified by 2 independent doctors, because you have to be verified by 2 independent doctors, and you have to be willing to want to take your own life, and you have to make that and you have to make that case to a judge as well. You have to convince a judge that this is what you want, yeah, in order for you to be able to take your own life, to have this assisting dying be done on you. Okay. Now, yes, there are lots of other wriggles and angles, but those crux points there I'm pointing out to you. That's how difficult it is for people to have this. Okay. This is not a free fare that once this bill passes, anyone can do it. That's not the case at all. I cannot stress that enough. I really cannot stress that enough. And yes, there is a possibility that people being coerced into ending their lives early. I accept that. But there is always these kind of things that are going to happen anywhere. I accept that. But the majority of people are suffering because they're not being able to end their lives. So the amendment had been drawn up and supported by 50 groups, including Down Syndrome UK, Down Syndrome Scotland, and the National Down Syndrome Policy Group. But after similar amendments on diabetes, mental health were rejected, Mr. Malthouse appeared to believe that they were being weaponised to attack the committee, which has a majority of pro-assisting dying MPs on it. Well, the problem is, right, there was going to be a majority of pro-assisting dying MPs on this committee. That was a foregone conclusion. I think if anyone didn't think that was the case, that there'd be folly here. Of course, there are people on that committee who are against it as well, which is rightfully so. And it's a very mixed bag of people who are on this committee. It is a mixed bag of Labour and Conservatives here. But it's not really political parties on this. It's individual MPs and how their constituents feel about this, rather than political parties' ventures on the assisting dying bill, because there's a very mixed bag across the whole House about how they feel about the assisting dying bill, because you have a lot of Labour MPs who are for it, you have a lot of Labour MPs who are against it, same in the Conservatives, even in the Lib Dems. So it's not something that is one party is behind, because it's a private members bill brought forward by Kim Leadbeater, who is a Labour MP, but it's not something that the government completely fully backs, okay, because we've had different cabinet ministers who have voted for and against it as well. So that's really, I think that context really matters as well. So in an apparent bid to silence criticism, he made a point of order, asking if action could be taken against those who misrepresent the committee. Unless he has evidence to support that, I can't. Like what? Like, I understand he wants to put this on the record, but I don't know what he can do in this situation. It really is a case of either you win over the people or you don't. Mr. Malthouse said, if any member or indeed anybody externally were, for example, to attempt to misrepresent part of the debate on those amendments, what possibly could we do? So, for example, somebody could, in regards to the amendment to regards to people with Down syndrome, imply or state on social media that the committee has refused to look at accommodations for people with Down syndrome, and therefore would be disregarded welfare under the bill. Again, like, nobody is taking, like, all these amendments, right? Though, like, again, I cannot stress this enough. I've already said, yeah, the barriers that you have to go through, the hoops that you have to go through, sorry, that's the word, that you have to go through in order to pass this bill. I've already said, yeah, what you have to go through. Like, I've already said this enough. Like, you cannot just turn up at a hospital and get this. That's not how it works, guys. It really, really is not. That you will be aware it would be a serious representation of both the debate and the intention of anybody if that either a member of the House generally or somebody externally. What measures could we take to correct that? Like, here's the thing, like, unless he has evidence to support this, he should not be saying this, in my opinion. He was told it was not a matter for the chair and would need to ask the House authorities. But the issue arose less than a week after Keir Starmer and JB Vance public clash over free speech in the UK, with the US Vice President claiming that there were too many clampdowns on social media. This has nothing to do with it. I'm not accepting that. Lynn Murray, spokesperson for Don't Screen Us Out, whose 25-year-old daughter Rachel has Down syndrome, said, I'm very disappointed that the amendment aimed at protecting people with Down syndrome was voted down today. Multiple organisations representing people with Down syndrome made clear protection within the bill for people with Down syndrome is necessary to ensure safeguards from negative impact this bill would have on our community. She also accused Mr. Malthouse of trying to threaten campaigners. This is exactly what it is. She said the behaviour of Kit Malthouse in the committee was disturbing. He appeared to be threatening organisations representing people with Down syndrome simply for criticising the committee's decision. We will not be silenced in our desire to protect the vulnerable. Nicola Elov, Chief Executive of Down Syndrome UK, the DSUK, said, sadly, we know that in so many ways across society, the lives of those with Down syndrome are often misunderstood and devalued. This makes people with Down syndrome especially vulnerable to coercion and pressure under assisted suicide laws. Again, like, I can't speak for the I can't speak for the DSUK, and please feel free to add your comments on this down below. But it is not a very simple thing yet to have this, and this is not what it is. Do not use that word. I will delete your comment if you called it that. Rachel Ross of the National Down Syndrome Policy Group. It is assisting dying. Make sure you correctly put that in the comments or your comment will be removed. The NDSPG added that many people with Down syndrome and other disabilities are now outliving their parents or guardians. The consequences of this is that they can be highly dependent upon the state and healthcare organisations. Getting this bill right to ensure those with Down syndrome are properly protected could not be more important. As it stands, the Leadbeater bill does not adequately protect those with Down syndrome. They're particularly at risk. However, Ms. Leadbeater has consistently argued that the rules in her bills around those who will be able to end their life are tight and do not need a list of conditions attached. She told The Independent, look at clause 2, the definition of terminal illness. It's really important that the terms are, it has to be inevitable, progressive, and it cannot be reversed by that treatment. Exactly. This is the point. Yeah, you have to be terminally ill and that your life cannot be saved. You have to be terminally ill and that your life cannot be saved. How many times do I have to stress that? And she's stressing that here as well. It's really, really important. The facts matter when it comes to this, okay? Don't get me wrong. I understand the concerns of Down syndrome. I understand the people around mental health. I understand all these organisations and their concerns about this bill. And I fully appreciate and respect their points of view in it. And I really, really do. And if you are a member of any of these organisations, please feel free to reach out to me or leave your comments down below about this. Because I'm perfectly happy to hear your points of view on this. I'm perfectly happy to hear your points of view on this. But please do not come in my comments saying that it is not strong. Because it means you have not read the bill. It means you have not read the bill. And I literally laid out, the protections that are in place on this bill as well. Yeah, it is very, very strong and stringent. Yeah, does there still need to be tweaks? Absolutely. I do think there needs to be tweaks as well. And I think there's tweaks that need to be made. Yes, absolutely. Because there are still a lot of things that have not been addressed with this bill. And again, like for all intents and purposes, all this could be for nothing because it could then get voted down in the House of Parliament if the majority of MPs feel that there's not enough safeguards in. So there is always that possibility, yeah? Remember, this is not enshrined in law. There is a long process in this, and I really cannot stress that enough as well, guys. But please read the bill. Don't just take my word for it, okay? But honestly, I would like to know what you guys honestly think down in the comment section below about this. Do you think it's right that the Tory MP made a point of order over this? Do you think he should have said nothing? Let me know your thoughts and more on this. If you found this video informative or helpful in any way to you, please hit that like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media so others can find this video. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Do check out the Patreon and Rumble content for additional content on those platforms. And if you want to financially support me in the work that I do here on this channel, you can do so by clicking the join button down below to join the YouTube membership for as little as 99p. So thank you all so much for watching and listening, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.